our invocation, and then we will stand and do the Pledge of Allegiance.
Let us pray. Dear Lord, we truly thank Thee for this wonderful, blessed day. We thank You for Your Son. We thank You for Your Holy Spirit. We thank You for what You did on the cross. We thank You for this opportunity to be able to serve our community. We thank You for letting us be able to work this budget out according to Your will. Not our will, but by Your will. And we know it's going to be done because You are going to be in the midst. We give You the praise and honor. We thank You so much for our staff that we have here in this wonderful town of Winterville. And thank You so much for all the citizens that we have here in this town of Winterville. We ask You to continue on blessing us, because You said in Your word how good and how pleasant it is for brothers to dwell together in unity. And right now we are in unity. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen. If you would please stand, face the flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, again, I'd like to welcome everyone tonight that may be listening to us or watching us to our budget workshop session number 1. Today, like I said, is Tuesday, May the 20th. Roll call will be done by town manager.
Okay, good evening, everybody. We'll start with Councilwoman Hawkins.
Present.
Councilwoman Harrell.
Present.
Councilwoman Robertson.
Present.
Mayor Pro Tem Lloyd.
Present.
Mayor Hines.
Present.
And Councilwoman Smith.
Present.
Mayor, everyone's present and accounted for.
Thank you. Next up is approval of the agenda. Is there any items or anything that needs to be removed or discussed before we move on?
Yes, sir.
Okay, with that being said, could I get a motion?
Motion to approve. Second.
I have a motion on the floor by Councilwoman Smith, second by Councilwoman Dr. Brenda Harrell. All in favor, vote by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, motion carried. All right, with that being said, we're gonna take a 20-minute recess, and we'll be right back.
Thank you.
You ready to get queued up? All right. I'd like to call the meeting back into session. Next up is item for discussion is our fiscal year 25-26 recommended budget, and turn it over to our town manager, Ms. Parker.
Thank you, Mayor. Good evening, everyone. I have a few housekeeping items with respect to your budget binders. So, behind tab 4, that is where the expenditures are located. You have a set of papers at your seats, 3-hole punch set of papers that will replace what's in your binder currently. So please let me know if you don't have that set of paperwork.
We just place right there in the front.
Just, you can either take out what's in your binder and replace it, or if you like to keep everything, you can just sit it entirely on top of the paperwork in your binder behind tab 4. The difference is, when I printed the expenditures yesterday, no, Friday, it printed I didn't click the right drop down, just expenditures. It printed revenues and expenditures, so you have a replication of the revenues before each fund. So for tonight's discussion and discussion during the process, we replaced it so that you could have more accurate page numbers to go by. So in the new set, you should have 49 pages of expenditures. Yes, and you'll find that in the top right-hand corner of each page.
You said 49, right?
Yes, sir, in the new set.
That's it.
Also, you do have your budget message, and we will refer to that as we go through the budget as it stands today. So this version, we're calling version 1, it's an unbalanced draft. This is the numbers as departments requested. Nothing has been changed other than anything that we found that needed to be updated in the actual requests themselves. And I'll go over that in a little bit, but what you have is the full budget as the request came in, and we'll talk about the current deficit that we are dealing with tonight. But I want to make sure everybody's got all their pages where they want them, and we're good to go. And does anybody need a budget message or a set of expenditures? That includes staff. Everybody good? Who's not good? Chief, you don't have a set? You don't have a set? Don't have extra sets of expenditures? Y'all have budget messages? They may need budget messages too. If you don't mind giving us just a minute to get
Okay.
selected.
All right. Put together everything.
You have a budget message, John? I think she's using a budget message.
It's supposed to be a message
Anybody else?
in here.
That's this right here.
Ms. Hawkins, you've got your sets, okay?
That's it. What, this is the budget message, right?
No, budget message is behind tab 1. That's where it will go.
This right here.
Yes, so the budget message, which is the letter from Jessica and myself, goes behind tab 1.
Right. And it was said unbalanced.
Yes.
Yeah, the unbalanced version.
Yes.
Right.
But where is it? Where is the paper at?
Do you
You
have?
should have it. Yeah.
Only one I took
Was it-
out,
was
only
it-
thing I took out was that, out of number 4.
Was it? There it
Right
goes,
there, right there.
Okay.
So we took out those pages and put it behind tab 1.
Okay,
Just those 3.
Right.
okay, all right. All right, I collectively picked it up with the rest.
Okay.
At least you didn't shred it. You know I can't let you live that
Oh, yeah,
down, man.
well,
All right.
I see that now. Thank you so kindly for reminding me.
So again, you'll see that this is denoted as the unbalanced draft version 1. So highlights include, there are no tax adjustments, there are no rate adjustments, there are no fee adjustments. So there are no tax, rate, or fee adjustments included in this draft. There are some restructuring planned, and there will be some new positions added. Some capital outlay requests. What I'm hoping we'll accomplish this evening is solidifying where council stands on the funding for non-town agencies. That's why I have that denoted as a discussion item.
Okay.
Every year, the water, sewer, stormwater, and electric funds pay the general fund what we call a contribution for services that covers the administrative work that staff does to support those departments, i.e. the ladies in finance, the various and sundry things that they do to cover supporting what we call the enterprise funds. There's a contribution to the general fund to cover those services, basically like you run a business. Y'all see these every year. They are included. Let's see, the draft includes a 5% COLA for everyone, cost of living. We call it market adjustment these days, but a lot of people still use COLA, so I referenced it as COLA. And there is an average of a 2%, which the range will be 1.5% to 2.5% for merit for employees. The last time we all talked about the insurance rates, we were expecting a 6% increase, and we were talking about First National, which is our broker. They continuously work with Blue Cross Blue Shield even after they give us the first estimated number. They have been able to get the increase reduced to 2.98% for the year, which is excellent. So you will see a number of 2.98% increase reflected for all employees for health insurance. That is really good in this market.
Did it decrease any of the benefits?
No, sir.
Everything
Yes,
remained the same?
Yes, sir. Which is even more excellent.
Yes, it is.
Dental insurance premiums, you'll stay the same, see no increase. Just as a reminder, the town pays all of the employee coverage for health insurance, and we pay a proportionate share of dependent coverage. In the last many years, anytime there's been an increase seen in the dependent coverage portion, the town absorbs the increase of what the employees have paid to stay the same. So that's been a nice benefit as well. Excuse me. Every year, we put $25,000 into what we call our OPEB fund, Other Post-Employment Benefits Reserve. And Jessica and Anthony, jump in if I miss anything, but you may recall that is a fund whereby we offer health insurance to employees who have been here 20 years. They can stay on the town insurance at the town's cost until they reach Medicare age, and then they have to maneuver over. We currently don't pay for Medicare supplements at this point, but we continue to put $25,000 in a fund because we have these actuarial studies done, and it estimates the amount that we would need in this fund to cover all employees if they retired, with the town and stayed on the insurance until they reach Medicare age. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So how much do we have into that fund at this time? Do we know?
I will ask Ms. Manning if she happens to know.
And while she's looking at that, ask Angie, as far as like the age trend here, is
Everybody's young.
everybody's young? Okay.
All of us are young.
Okay, all right. I'm just wondering is that we can hit that same plateau that everybody could be at that retirement age. Okay.
And I think, the actuarial studies looks at if everybody retired, is currently here. Obviously, we know that won't happen, things will change, but at least what it does is gives us a number to shoot for so that we can continue to fund these other post-employment benefits as time moves on. We may not have that number, Mayor Pro Tem Ward, but we'll
Okay.
get it to council, make sure it's available. Okay, we'll get that and we'll report that back tomorrow evening, just so you'll know how much we currently have in the reserve.
Okay.
Moving on into the general fund, you see a description of the way that we approach trying to estimate numbers in the general fund. We estimate and assume a 98% collection rate for our ad valorem or property taxes, and I think we've been collecting higher than that, 99%, if I'm not mistaken. So we're doing very well. I think, again, as a reminder, we have planned for a slight increase in local option sales tax and inspections line items. The inspections department references a full year's worth of anticipated revenue. Just a reminder of that, because we are one of the few towns that actually does our own inspections. Most of the entities, the county inspects for them. So
Okay.
I list the departments that are located within the general fund for your information. And some of the highlights that I'd like to reference, again, a reminder that non-town, and these are the requests, these numbers that came in. The non-town agency request for 25-26, the cash request totals $107,000. And then I've listed them individually as what those requests were. I also included the in-kind amounts, just kind of as a reminder, again, as Don made a bound document for you all at an earlier meeting that outlines specifically the applications and specifics. And specifics of the non-town agency requests. This is an overview, and this also includes the request from Shepherd Memorial Library, which did not increase this year, so the $176,921 is what we currently fund them in the 24-25 budget. So if we don't mind, if I could continue on, and then we could circle back around for discussion, okay.
You left out the senior citizens in kind.
Thank you so much. And again, I apologize for typos. We found a couple, but please, as we go through this document, if you see additional typos, please point them out. Thank you, Ms. Robertson. Okay, the general fund across all departments is out of balance by $2,756,500. That means there are that dollar amount more in requests from the departments that there is revenue to pay for it. The revenues do include a transfer from the electric department. This is the outright transfer that we make from the electric department to the general fund every year of $350,000. That has been a higher number in previous years. The current year we're in, 24-25, we reduced it to $350,000, and I have included it for the 25-26 budget at the same amount. So it's $350,000. Again, outright transfer from the electric department to the general fund. Any questions on that very quick overview? Okay. Moving into the recreation fund. Revenues and expenditures are estimated in all of these funds in a like manner. We're conservative in terms of what we ultimately recommend to council. This fund is out of balance by $1,648,176, but there is a reason. Historically, approximately 87% of the revenues for the department come in the form of a transfer from the general fund. In other words, recreation does not, as many programs and all that they put on, there's no way they can generate enough money to cover the costs without additional dollars from the general fund. So I didn't include that transfer because I simply wanted you all to see it's about $156,000. I'm doing this off the top of my head in revenue that they generate through their programs, and the balance is made up through that transfer from general fund to recreation, and that's not unusual. But I do like to show it so that you all are just cognizant of monies that are made. Okay. Now we move into the enterprise funds, which are the funds that operate more like a for-profit business. First is the electric fund. Again, I referenced the transfer from the electric fund to the general fund in the amount of $350,000. This is done to assist in covering the cost of operations. That amount is currently the same, the estimated amount is currently the same as the 24-25 budget, approved budget. This fund is out of balance by $1,930,479. So again, there's no fund balance appropriated to balance the budget. I wanted you all to see how much the requests were over and above the revenues to pay for those requests. Okay, flipping to page 2, and our water fund, and please, staff, if you guys see that I have messed up a number in here, please let me know. $700,000 is included for water purchases for resale. That I believe is it more than this year? Yes, I thought so. So again, the $700,000 is the amount that we pay Greenwood Utilities to purchase water from them to help supply drinking water to the town. That is due in large part because we are restricted in the amount that we can pull out of the ground, our well water. We are restricted by state law and therefore have to purchase the remaining amount needed from Greenwood Utilities. We have a long-standing purchase agreement with Greenwood Utilities. The fund is currently out of balance by $753,105, and as with electric, I included no fund balance appropriation, just so you could actually see what the numbers look like, revenues versus expenditures. Sewer fund, it's out of balance by $251,733, no fund balance appropriation included. Then I talk about the Centennial Metropolitan Sewerage District. We are a member. It's a 3-entity member district with Ayden, Grifton, and Winterville. We pay our proportionate share based on the previous 12 months worth of flow we send down to the plant. This time, and I mentioned it in our earlier budget meeting, the amount will be, this says increase, so please mark through that, and I will replace it with decrease to $1,263,296. The reason for this decrease, and I think I mentioned this previously, it's based solely on the amount of water that is sent to the plant for treatment by Ayden, Grifton, and Winterville. In drier weather, the town will pay more money because we're a larger entity than Ayden and Grifton. In a wetter year, Ayden usually pays more money than Winterville, and that is primarily due to the fact they have a large amount of what we call infiltration inflow into their system. This is not sewer, this is basically rainwater and other types of water that comes in because their pipes, their system needs to be sealed, for lack of a better word. So we had a wetter year, previous 12 months, that's why our allocation is reduced.
What about our rates? How much do we generate from our rates now? Our sewer rates?
How much do we generate?
Yes. How much?
Just a moment, I'll tell you.
I saw about that
So
too.
it is, get the page number. If anybody gets there before me, holler.
And they will be the winner.
Sorry.
It'll be page,
Tab 8.
it's behind tab 4
Tab 8.
and page, I'm sorry, behind tab 3. Behind tab 3, page 9. And Ms. Robertson, we estimate this year out of sewer charges alone, we're estimating $2,780,514. Everybody see that number? Jessica, do you know about how many accounts we have? Not to put you on the spot, we can report that back at a later time. I just always have an estimate in my head. So I think we have in the neighborhood, it's not specific, but around 4,500 accounts. So that would be the amount of money we generate off of 4,500 accounts.
And that's for our sewer. And to pay this money to CMS.
Yes, ma'am, that
And
is,
also maintenance and expansion of stuff, right?
well, what you'll see is all of the revenue collected, and there is, you'll see amounts in other line items for that fund, which equate to an estimate of $3,079,178 in revenue that we have to utilize to pay for the required expenditures, which includes the CMSD allocation. Does that make sense?
So just for clarity, I have a question. You said that that from the previous year, monies are allocated based upon whether the weather was drier or wetted, or more wet per the previous year?
So what happens is every month, CMSD tracks the amount of flow that comes out of the lift stations for all three entities. So it can see on a metered basis how much flow Winterville sends to them to be treated. And usually the amount up or down is based on how wet it is and how much your system is, we call it how tight your system is, and how much of this liquid and water other than sewage is pumped to Grifton for treatment. That's why it's a fluctuating number. So depending on how, in this previous 12 months, if that total is more because the weather is dry, therefore we're actually sending more actual sewer versus rainwater, etc. And in a wet year, we pay less because the other entity system is not quite as tight and they're generating more flow. I know it's a lot.
So from the previous year, we prepare a budget for the next year?
Correct.
Okay.
So what CMSD does is they look at the amount of flow total between Ayden, Grifton, and Winterville, and then they actually have a handful of direct customers, and they look at the total flow based on the previous 12 months, and then come up with the percentage that Winterville will pay based on what we sent, Ayden will pay based on what they sent, etc. And so that's why that number is not the same every year. It's based on the actual flow, which varies.
So Cliff, that would be like gray water and black water if I was on a camper, correct?
Inflow and outflow. And the infiltration was the returns.
Robertson knows.
Yeah.
So CMSD as a plant has needs, and because we're all growing, all three towns are growing, we have needs, and there's a set amount of allocation that the state permits that plant for, and we all share it. So it's first come, first served. If we have a development that needs X amount of sewer, we basically request that from the director at the district, and he will allocate that amount of flow, etc. So there will be a time in the near future where the plant needs to be expanded. And how that happens is greatly restricted by the state, as it should be. But those costs are split between the three entities. So the cost for all of the treatment component, which happens in Grifton, we have to pay our share, as well as all the sewer that we're collecting and then charging our residents for that's sent to Grifton. Those costs are covered by the same amount of revenue that you're seeing in tab 3.
Thank you for explaining that, but I was just saying, looking forward,
Yes,
the
ma'am.
outlook with climate change and
Yes.
such, and it varies by drier or wetter. Hopefully, like in a 10-year plan or 20-year plan, they will consider that, because the weather is not going to stay the same. It may be more wet some years.
Correct.
Or more dry due
Well,
to climate change.
That's an excellent point. So as a matter of fact, there's a lot of discussions with the three entities, and we meet every month. And currently, Commissioner Mark Smith and myself serve on the board. The mayor just came off of that rotating third membership that I was referencing in a previous meeting. We talk a lot about how much these storms and their intensity have increased, and therefore how much additional water is sent to the system in any given day because of these events where there's 7 inches in an event. So there, yes, that is a definite issue, in addition to having to build like a berm down at the plant to try to help protect the plant from floodwaters itself, because it sits right on the Contentia Creek. So yes, ma'am, those things are being looked at and trying to be planned for through the capital improvement plan and the master planning for the district. All complicated, but all good information and good questions. We'll move on into the stormwater fund, and that fund is out of balance by $193,113. And again, as with the other enterprise funds, no fund balance appropriation has been included yet. So when we look at everything across all funds, all the funds we just referenced, we are currently out of balance by $7,403,160. If you look at your expenditure paperwork that you just inserted in your binder, go to page, let me find myself, give me 1 second. My fingers do not want to work this evening. Actually, it's not going to show you specifically, but it will when we print the entire budget. In the expenditure sheets that were included when the binder was delivered, you will see a total across all funds that equals about $6.5 million in a deficit. Today, as all staff was working together to try to review, making sure that everything was included, we had to make some last-minute adjustments in some of the requests. So that basically increased it to a $7.4 million deficit. That sounds like a significant number, and it is. So we will be working diligently over the next, I'll say 24 hours for lack of a better word, to bring that budget closer to being balanced. So staff's already been asked to make cuts today, knowing that we would bring this unbalanced budget to you. But then once they have submitted, and they all were supposed to and did submit their cuts by 5 o'clock today. So I'll be taking those and considering those, but I am positive that that will not cover the entire $7.5 million, so additional cuts will be made. And we're hoping to get closer to being balanced by tomorrow evening. One of the things that we do usually for the first night, even though it's a small component of the entire budget, that is to talk about the non-town agencies. And so at any time, and I'm ready, if you all are ready, to start talking about what you all would like to do in terms of approving the amounts that you want to fund these agencies for 25-26.
Okay.
And if you go back to the budget message again on page 2, other than we did leave the in-kind amount out for senior citizens group, but I will include that, but you do have the cash request in the bulleted form for your discussion, and you have the specifics in the bound document that Mr. Harvey provided you. I believe it was May 5th.
Right.
I'll leave that open for council's discussion.
All right. Everybody do have their non-town agency stuff. So I'm gonna open the floor up for discussion. do you want to go line by line, or before we do that, is there any discussion, or we can go line by line with each item?
Mayor, I would like to make a few opening comments
Yes, ma'am.
as we go into discussion.
Councilman.
Last year, we discussed pretty extensively and specifically the option of eliminating a great majority of the non-town agency funding and focusing on those things that are focused on and are in and serve immediate Winterville residents. I am still of that line of thought. For several reasons. All of these are great agencies. They do good work. But I have a problem with picking and choosing from among many. This is a limited list. There are many more out there. And even choosing from the list, dollar amount or yes, no, I don't necessarily agree with that, and I don't know when we might hit a limit, if that makes sense. There's plenty more agencies that do good work who may be interested in applying. As I look at the list, at least 3, and well, actually 4, say Pitt County. We pay Pitt County taxes, we pay Winterville taxes. I mean, maybe that's a Pitt County thing, maybe it should go to the county for funding. Not saying they're not great and that they don't impact some residents, but we've looked at in the past, they don't necessarily impact the majority of Winterville residents. With that in consideration and financial, I mean, right now we're looking at a $7 million shortfall. With us knowing that we have residents who come regularly and speak about the need for services. Every week recycling has been a hot topic, don't put it out there. With us as a council looking at building a center in Winterville to serve our residents with recreation needs, the need for land, the need for recreation on the west side. I think that we should be more focused on immediate needs, as these funds are the tax dollars of our constituents, and we should use them to impact our constituents in our town the most.
Thank you. Does anyone else have any comments?
I would just like to say I do,
Councilwoman, can you pull your mic down? I'm sorry. Can you just pull it down, please? Thank you.
okay, what about, is that better?
So make sure they hear you.
Okay, just to echo what Councilwoman Smith said, we did talk extensively about, everything that she just said. And I also would like to ask, what percentage of the general fund is allocated to the non-town funding for the non-town agencies?
Grab a calculator. I don't know that it, let me work on getting you
Okay,
that while
that's
y'all are
fine.
discussing.
Okay, that's fine.
I would like to add on to say that each one of these non-town agencies that we do have available at this time involve everyone. Now, if we go and look at even just to say the Watermelon Festival and say, don't do the senior citizen. The senior citizen, they have a stake in this town as much as anyone else, and most of them do not even participate in a lot of the other programs that we are speaking of. So, even our Boys and Girls Club, I mean, that speaks for itself to me. Pitt County agent, I'm getting older. And, I would like to have something that I can be able to do or fellowship with someone that of my age, and it's by choice. A lot of these are available for you to use. The Pitt County Girls Softball League, we do not have one here. But they're part of this town also. And it's available. Now, do a large percentage of our youth or young ladies participate in that? I don't know. But one thing good about it, it's available for you to be able to be part of it. Rebuilding together. I know that can be a softball, something that some people just don't believe in, is trying to assist someone that has been in this town for 30, 40, and 50 years. They have paid their taxes, and then now, maybe they had a family issue or financial situation, and in a home that they live in needs some assistance. I think they have paid their dues for some assistance from this town. I'm going right on down the list. Chamber, they have done an excellent job to help support, to bring in new business. Actually advertised the town of Winterville to a point whereas that I just heard that we back up as in the top, 10? I think it just came out, top 10. Number 9. So we right there in the mix of it. The Historic Society, the Winterville Senior Citizen Club. I'm going right on down. The Watermelon Festival, and especially our library. That is for everybody. Now, if you don't use it, it's nobody's fault but yours, because it's there. So I say to us that what we have here, I think it just about covers just about every citizen in our town, and it's up to them to use the program. And that's my take on it, because it does cover everyone, from our kids, from our youth to our seniors.
And Mayor Pro Tem Moy, I agree. And of the things that you listed, again, I reiterate, the Winterville-based, Winterville-focused, non-town agencies, I believe, should be funded, like our Historic Society, our Senior Club, our Chamber, our Festival, our Library. Those are Winterville. They're based in Winterville. They're immediately in Winterville. They predominantly serve Winterville residents. When we move out to the county area and we start expanding, I think we'll find the number of Winterville students, pardon me, my teacher's coming out, residents is not as highly represented in those monies that we're spending, when those monies could be refocused to services for our taxpaying citizens, recreation for our taxpaying citizens. Starting last year, we started setting money aside for the multipurpose room. Those monies could be, again, refocused into things in Winterville instead of county-wide things. The focus, I'm saying, it should be on the Winterville services, the focus in the Winterville community. This is the money of the Winterville taxpayers.
Yes, ma'am. Councilwoman Hawkins.
So I would like to say, as I spoke about the Boys and Girls Club in terms of transportation, during a previous meeting, it was shared that Winterville youth are utilizing transportation to and from the Boys and Girls Club. I would also like to speak on behalf of the Pitt County Council on Aging. There are seniors right here in Winterville that benefit from Meals on Wheels. And other than those meals coming to them, they are on a fixed budget and they cannot get as many meals as they would like. So that is directly benefiting two demographics right here in Winterville. And this is a total of 107,000.
Yeah.
We're looking at am I correct? This total this total non-town agency?
Yes, ma'am, and I was gonna, I had our two financial experts over here. I can do finance, I am a finance person, but I like a little double checking. The total requested, 107,000, is 0.5% of the general fund budget.
1%.
I thought we were talking about,
1%,
1% of the general.
just for clarification purposes.
I think we figured up, I didn't mean to cut you off, but I think we figured up 128, wasn't it right, Ms. Roberts, $128,000 somewhere?
You're talking about 1 cent on the
It's
tax.
Yeah,
getting
1
close
cent,
to 1
yeah,
cent on the tax rate.
1 cent on the tax rate, about $128,000. I ain't good at math either, but I think that's what it was when we discussed, I think, in our last meeting, when that was brought up again. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off, but.
It's okay. I just wanted to, just complete my thought with stating that all of these agencies, in some way, shape, or form, are directly affecting the residents here in Winterville. And as Mayor Pro Tem Moy say, to cut one is to, you know, choosing one over the other is not, you know, to me, does not seem fair, because to the seniors, this is what they need. To the Boys and Girls Club, if children are being picked up from A.G. Cox and/or W.H. Robinson and/or Creekside and going to the Boys and Girls Club, that then will take that from them, and then parents from Winterville will have to then provide some sort of transportation to get them to and from. So I would say the majority or all of these non-town agencies are directly affecting them. If we want to talk about most monies coming out is from the Winterville Watermelon Festival. And we have lots of people coming in. Those in Winterville in-town residents enjoy it. But when we had a previous discussion, how is that directly affecting? They're enjoying it, but it's not an overall benefit throughout the year. So the monies, the fraction of monies in comparison, and when you're looking at Winterville Senior Citizens Club, 3,500 in comparison to a 40,000 is just a small fraction, but it means a lot. But that was just my thought for that.
And if I could just clarify, in an effort to ascertain the effect on Winterville citizens, we do ask as number 18 in the application. It is, the question is, how many of the clients/citizens serve or residents of the town of Winterville? And and in the application, they're supposed to document numbers. And there's another question that really references how are you serving the community? So some are better than others in terms of specifying those things, but you may find information there.
And then Town Manager Parker, if you could, please, for anyone listening, could you share, I know what in-kind is because of a history at Head Start, but can you share what in-kind is to an average person who's looking at that amount? What does that mean?
Yes, ma'am, and thank you for that. So we have some of these agencies that, in addition to giving a cash allocation annually, we have additional relationships in terms of, for instance, the Chamber of Commerce, that office, and welcome our director this evening. Their office is located in our town operations administrative building. So there is the use of an office, electricity, copy machine, things of that nature. And we tried our best to estimate what that cost would be annually. So we came up with the number 1,100, well, this is, let me get to the new.
1,210.
Yeah.
Let's see, it looks like that we're estimating in the neighborhood of $1,200 in in-kind services to cover the office space that they use, et cetera. For the Historical and Art Society at both the museum and the depot, we maintain their grounds, cut grass, spray for ants, that type of thing. We've tried to estimate at each location $7,865 and $6,350 respectively for those landscaping services, lawn maintenance services. And then the Senior Citizens Club, I said 4 entities, it's actually really 5, but they utilize the community room to host their meetings, and we do not charge them for the use of the community room. So we tried to estimate what that cost would be. And then finally, the Winterville Watermelon Festival, we have a long-standing relationship with them whereby staff provides assistance in getting the park set up and bringing trash cans. It's just a whole plethora of costs associated with the in-kind services and helping the festival pull off the festival. So we anticipate that that's somewhere in the neighborhood of $67,770. I don't know if I did a very eloquent job, but it's to try to show that there is a dollar amount, even though it's not a cash amount, over and above what they request in cash for their services.
And if I could say, most of it is volunteer hours, work hours that people are not being paid for, just to.
That's correct.
That, okay.
There is an amount, obviously, where we pay our folks during the Watermelon Festival, for instance, to work to cover the festival. And that's a part of what we do in an effort to try to make sure the festival is successful. But these are in-kind services that we don't charge the festival for and that we are trying to offer as part of, and these other entities of helping them carry out their business of their separate organization.
Ms. Councilwoman Robinson, can you bring your mic down, Councilwoman, please?
All right, could we consider these requests separately? The in-kind and the financial ones? It seems to me that nearly all of the in-kind services are services that we just, need to continue in our town. Cutting the grass and stuff and paying the electric bill for the Historical Society, providing the chamber with an office right now. Senior Citizens Club, allowing them a place to meet, and the Watermelon Festival. It's considered one of the safest events in North Carolina for families. And I feel like we would like to keep it that way. So is it possible that we could go on and approve the in-kind and only look at the financial ones? And since I'm talking, Rebuilding Together bothers me. We've been giving them $10,000 for a couple of years, right? Am I correct?
Yes, ma'am.
And that's not the grant.
No,
That's
ma'am.
not the money that we allot for housing.
No, ma'am.
But we have had no houses repaired.
2 separate programs. So we have our urgent repair program, which we set aside and budget $20,000 a year. And that's the program that we're currently getting ready to reinitiate with them that has not existed since COVID was here. Rebuilding Together, so on their own accord through their program, works throughout the county to help people repair their homes. Their criteria are different. They can spend a lot more money than the max on our program. Ours is just urgent repair, theirs is more than that. So they have absolutely done houses or repaired houses in Winterville that this cash allocation went towards. However, this is for their whole county program that helps them towards their budget for their program throughout Pitt County, and has nothing to do with the urgent repair program for the town.
I understand that, but for that $10,000 that we've been giving them, and I've supported that, have they repaired any houses in Winterville during this time?
I can get that number, but the answer is yes.
Cause I was kinda thinking the 10,000 we were giving them was kinda like an administrative cost. To help them with their administrative costs, like to help them establish the whole program.
Well, I mean, I think that the way they have used the 10,000, and certainly it's in their application, is how they use it, but I think it's included as part of the revenue for their budget to be used for things like administrative costs and actually operating their program. So there's no restriction, if you will, that they can only use it for actual cost of repairing someone's house. They could use it for administrative costs. They just don't request an administrative fee. If that's, we're not paying them an administrative fee to run our urgent repair program.
Okay. I was gonna say, I know we talked about this non-town agency stuff, but we gotta understand, even if we don't fund any of these non-town agencies, they're not gonna go away. Because these same agencies are not just getting funding sources from us, they're getting funding sources from other places. And i.e. Boys and Girls Club probably gets more money from Coastal Plain themselves. If we don't fund them the 10 grand, I mean, what they're asking for, it ain't gonna close down the Boys and Girls Club.
Let me change some of the programs.
I don't think it would change, I don't think it would change any of the programs.
It may, in previous years, I've seen where they didn't get funded for something, they changed the program.
Yeah,
But I'm not saying the 10,000 will.
Right.
Because we realize it is a small amount.
Right, and then also too, I understand, the Council on Aging, you know, I've been and I served, I've done it, I see the effects on it, but, I think also too, the county is gonna be looking at the Council on Aging, because, the federal side of Council on Aging is gonna be getting hit, through the SNAP program and all that, through USDA. And so I think it's gonna be something that the state is gonna be looking at to try to help offset some of them costs also. You know, and as far as rebuilding together, that's a tough one, because that's sort of the same thing I do in my everyday life, but
you can't do it in Winterville.
well, but we can't, that's right, but we can't do it in Winterville, and so that cuts that out. But it's hard to find volunteers to do the repairs. Like the Baptist men don't do certain things anymore. The Methodist men that used to be out there that used to do a lot of these repairs, they don't do them, you know, because everything is tight. Everything is tight. Everybody's tightening up their belt. And, you know, I think that's, as a town and being stewards of the town's money, I think we need to really and truly consider that. I mean, you know, again, I'm gonna reiterate it, we keep asking the citizens to put out a little bit more, you know, because we got to keep, if we don't ask them to put out a little bit more, then we're gonna fall in what we're doing now, trying to get this budget back on track. You know, so, but then we turn around and say we can give away money. To me, I don't know, that don't make sense.
Councilwoman Robinson, for your question about the number of citizens or residents served in Winterville, question number 18 about how many citizens are served, it said that currently, and I quote, "We have 3 homeowners on our list who reside in Winterville city limit areas." It says we count not only the residents, but also the volunteers who may have been involved in these projects. So we estimate 10 to 15 Winterville citizens served. So that's what is in the application.
And that includes the volunteers who did the work, is that what it reads?
Sounds like it says we count not only the residents, but also the volunteers who may have been involved in these projects. So we estimate 10 to 15 Winterville citizens served, but currently it says, currently we have 3 homeowners on our list who resides in Winterville. So that's something to think about as well from that aspect.
And if I could just point out, just for, as you're considering this page, the second page, so you got the funding request, and the next page was the actual approvals for 24-25. So that gives you a sense of whatever the last couple of years, this year, 24-25, and the previous year, that we have funded those agencies that requested. That is not the same as necessarily what they requested this year. So just for a point of comparison, that may help.
Mayor, if I may, I would like to make a motion that follows up to Ms. Councilwoman Robertson. I would like to make a motion that we fund the in-kind amounts for Winterville Historical Society, the Winterville Chamber of Commerce, the Winterville Watermelon Festival, and the Winterville Senior Citizens.
Okay.
I second that motion.
I have a motion on the floor by Councilwoman Smith, second by Councilwoman Robinson, to fund the in-kind, non-agencies.
The listed, the Winterville Historic Society, the Winterville
Okay,
Chamber,
the
the Winterville
Winterville-
Watermelon, and the Winterville Senior
All right,
Citizens.
the Winterville Chambers of Commerce, Winterville Chamber of Commerce, the Winterville Historical and Art Society, the Winterville
Watermelon Festival.
Watermelon.
One's the depot,
Okay,
one's
and one's the depot,
museum.
one's the museum, right? Then the Winterville Senior Citizens
Correct.
Club, and the Winterville Watermelon Festival Committee. Those are your 1, 2, 3, 4.
Well,
1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
Five.
Okay.
5 in-kind.
Okay.
So those are the 5 in-kinds that you listed. Any discussion before we go to a vote?
Yes, just make sure that we got that list correctly again. Could you say that again?
Okay.
It is the, go ahead. again.
All right, it's the Winterville Chamber of Commerce.
The
Okay.
Chamber,
All right,
okay.
the Winterville Historical Art Society Depot, then the Winterville Historical Art Society Museum, then the Winterville Senior Citizen Club, and then the Winterville Watermelon Festival Committee.
Okay, all right.
All right,
I have a question. Oh, sorry.
Okay. All right, and, well, in this list where we got on page 12, on page 2, with the in-kind, we do have Shepherd Memorial Library with this.
there's
It shouldn't, and there's no incline, so it shouldn't be in that list then, right?
that should not be.
there ain't gonna be a
Okay,
request.
okay. Now, well, I was talking about on the list in our book here.
So, aside from the in-kind and aside from the cash request, we have treated the library like a, what I call quasi-governmental function.
Okay.
In our building, they, provide services we would have otherwise provided. So they have a separate line item in the budget in the non-departmental section, and we've treated them somewhat separately, even though we require them to fill out the same application, just so we can get that information for you all to have. But when you go through your non-town agencies, I'm really gonna ask you to address the library separately in their cash request.
Okay, thank you, because I was thinking that it should have been up with the Watermelon Festival and the Boys and Girls Club, up there to the top, instead of with the incline group.
Well, actually, it's just I see what you're saying, it's just a separate bullet point, though.
Gotcha, okay.
To consider it separate.
I'm
from
good.
The rest.
Good.
Yeah, I'm good.
Councilwoman Hawkins?
And I just wanted to make sure for anybody who's listening, we know what's happening, but the citizens need to know there's a motion on the floor for in-kind, but we will revisit the money requests, am I correct, for these other agencies? Tonight, how does that work?
My understanding is you'll vote to get the in-kind services basically out of the way, that there may be more discussion. My understanding is gonna be had on the cash request. So we're just taking the in-kind services, you all will vote on that accordingly, we'll set that aside, that'll be approved.
Sure.
And then discuss to your heart's content on the cash requests.
Okay. Any more questions or any more discussions? If none, we'll call for the question. All in favor of the motion for in-kind raise their right hand, please. Motion carried. Any? Okay, so we got that part out of the way.
Mayor, I'd like to make a motion that we fund the Shepherd Memorial Library at the requested $176,921, as it is a quasi-government entity.
Second.
Okay, have a motion made by Councilwoman Smith, second by Councilwoman Dr. Brandon Harrell to fund Shepherd Memorial Library for $176,921. Any discussion on that? Dr. Harrell. And if there's no discussion, could you please vote by raising your right hand, please? Motion carried, right? Yeah, motion carried. Motion carried. All right. Now, the other items that are up here, what is the pleasure of the board? Do they deem to be, do you want to go, how do you want to handle it? Do you want to talk about them, or that's what I'm trying to figure out.
I didn't say anything about the Pitt County Council on Aging, but we have citizens here in Winterville that go out to that senior center every day. Some of them go and spend the whole day, others go out there for different activities. And it's a 5 days a week that the bus runs? They get picked up on that bus. You see some of you might see the bus around picking them up. The PATS bus, not the other buses, but that bus comes and picks those people up and they're taken out there. They also give counseling on their Medicare and Medicaid and other services. They have counselors out there that help seniors make decisions about different things. So I really would ask the board to please consider, if we don't do the amount requested, to consider a donation or how we want to put it for that Council on Aging, to not consider it, thinking that it does not serve our citizens. It does. We know the Boys and Girls Club picks up kids here. You see the bus at Robinson, you see the bus going to the various schools, and A.G. Cox too. And they pick up those students and take them to the Boys and Girls Club. And a lot of these kids are latchkey kids. And we know it. We know that they're latchkey kids, that they got their own key to the house and they let themselves in after school. And others, the Boys and Girls Club gives them a different perspective. It may help motivate them to go to further education or to do something positive in the community. So those, especially those two. With the softball league, we gave our citizens the opportunity to sign up for a girls' softball league. That was before Diane came. I think you were, Evan, you remember? Yes, ma'am. And we had a very few people to even sign up for it. So it's only a few people in our town that were interested in it, and that's why we did not institute it. But that's my little spiel on those things.
Well, I'm gonna just make a suggestion then, for the sake of it, is then, if we do the non-town agency, could we knock them all down to 2,500? Cap it at 2,500, and
When you
then,
say cap them all at 2,500, I would not be okay with Winterville Chamber of Commerce at 2,500 or the Winterville Festival at 2,500.
then none,
No, talking about cash.
Right, cap,
okay. I just throw it out there.
yeah.
Well, we usually have considered them one at a time.
So that has been your,
Yeah, it has, but I was just saying,
Uh-huh.
as a cap at 2,500, but you can discuss them, but I was just saying if we just did 2,500.
Okay.
Just give everybody 2,500 across the board.
That's what I was saying. So, but
And but
y'all like to discuss,
okay, yeah,
what?
okay. I'm just grasping what you're saying.
Yes, ma'am.
So for the ones that we have discussed so far, just echoing what Councilwoman Robinson has said, I would like to make a motion that we approve the requested amount for the Council on Aging for the $8,500 and the Boys and Girls Club, for $10,000.
I'll second your motion.
Okay, I have a motion on the floor, made by Councilwoman Dr. Brenda Harrell, and second by Councilwoman Robinson to fund the Boys and Girls Club of the Coastal Plain for $10,000 and the Pitt County Council on Aging for $8,500. Is that correct?
Yes.
All right. Any discussion before we proceed to a vote? Y'all have? Yeah, okay. Second was Ms. Robinson. All right. If there's no discussion, call for the vote. All in favor of this, vote by raising your right hand. All opposed? Motion carried 4-1.
And I would like to reiterate in that
Ms. Smith.
I don't like picking and choosing.
Right.
If we had done a straight 2,500 on everybody, I might could have been more the impact ratio to, I think, to our Winterville citizens, and picking and choosing one over the other makes me unfair.
Okay. All right. Yes, ma'am.
I'd like to make a motion for the $3,500 for the Winterville Senior Citizens Club. This is the least amount requested, and it is most beneficial to our Winterville seniors who are not readily available to actually get to other areas. They have lots of informational sessions, exercise, people coming in, and I think recently they just had a social gathering. These are opportunities that our Winterville Senior Citizens Club benefit from. They do have some people that come from surrounding areas, but the majority are Winterville seniors, and I am making a motion for that $3,500 for them.
Second.
Okay, have a motion and a second. Motion made by Councilwoman Hawkins, second by Councilwoman Dr. Brandy Harrell, to fund the Winterville Senior Citizen Club for $3,500.
Can I add
Yeah,
something?
discussion.
One minute. I did attend the Winterville Senior Citizen Club outing that they had this past Saturday. And it was amazing to see the senior citizen came out and really enjoyed themselves for about 3 hours. We even had we had 3 officers that came, 2 lieutenants, and they did an excellent job of, talking to the senior citizen. They were so at ease. They were asking questions. They were, they felt like that it wasn't no one out of place. Chief, the ones that you sent, they represent our town very well, the officers. Also, Councilwoman Hawkins, she was there. No, I'm sorry, Ms. Robinson. I saw you at the other place. Saturday was a busy day.
Yes, it was.
But Ms. Robinson came, and she came out also, how they interchanged with one another, the fellowship that they were having, and the fish was delicious. So I support it 100%. And one of the things I did I asked them, I said, now, the outing that you are having, does it consist the same what we're having today? And they said yes. And I didn't ask the one who was in charge. I was asking some of the members there. And they have been very pleased of the leadership of that Senior Citizen Club. So to me, you get feedback from your town and your citizen, and I think that they don't, especially when you're talking one-on-one, they're gonna be honest. And so that's the reason why I feel real good about supporting the senior citizen. Thank you, Mayor.
All right.
Mayor, I have one more point.
Yes.
do not feel good about this one because we are funding our Winterville Citizen Seniors Club at a less amount than we did for Pitt County entities, even if we include our in-kind. I would have liked to have seen more for Winterville. Again, that's Winterville, it's Winterville tax dollars, it should be focused on.
Oh, I see.
Okay, all right, if we could,
I can't let this go by without talking about the program that our recreation director has for our seniors. I attend both of them. But, she and her staff do an excellent job working with all of us little old ladies every other Thursday. And the police, they're there too. I think they had you cooking, didn't they? You know, and I just can't let us talk about one without talking about the other. And the women enjoy it. Last month, they got plans. We had there was a thing in the park, picnic in the park, and we had that. But she has done an excellent job in leading that, and her staff does an excellent job in interacting with us. And the police department, they're there too. You know, so I do thank them. Maybe the fire department get there next, right? But I just can't let us talk about one without touching on the other, because both of them are important to the citizens of Winterville, and everybody seems to enjoy it so much.
okay,
And it keeps expanding. So I keep up with those Thursdays. But come, stop in. If you're off for Thursday, stop in and join us.
so we have a motion.
Yes.
And a second.
Yes.
To fund the, Winterville Senior Citizen Club. Dr. Harrell.
Who made the motion?
Councilwoman Hawkins.
Oh, I'm saying, no.
Yeah,
Right.
Thank you.
okay, could you, please vote by raising your right hand. Motion carries, y'all. Motion carried. All right,
Mayor, I just want to reiterate, I only wish that we had funded a Winterville entity more than we had funded the Pitt County. But at this time, I would like to make a motion that we fund the request of $20,000 to the Winterville Chamber of Commerce.
Second.
okay. Have a motion on the floor to fund the Winterville Chamber of Commerce. A motion made by Councilwoman Smith, second by Councilwoman Robinson. Is any discussion? If none, please vote by raising your right hand. Motion carried.
Rebecca says thank you.
All right. Is there any other discussion on these non-town agency funding requests?
We do festival.
We have not. Would you like to make the motion, or would you like me to?
I would like to make a motion, but I see that they brought the numbers down from 50 to 40. And we, I think I have made the point that the reason why it went from 25 to 50 was because of a special anniversary, a special anniversary that we had. And that's the reason why it went from 25 to 50. And it was supposed to have been for a one-time event for that amount. And for some reason or another, I don't know why we chose to continue with the 50. And this year, I see that the request moved down from 50 to 40. And I think that's in the right direction. I would make a motion that we will support the Watermelon Festival for $40,000.
Second.
Have a motion on the floor made by Councilman Mayor Pro Tem Moy, second by Councilwoman Smith, to fund the Watermelon Festival at $40,000. Any discussion? Yes, ma'am.
I have something to say about the Watermelon Festival in terms of the variety of activities within the festival. There has been questions in terms of vendors' fees. I don't know how well we look into that. I know there's a Watermelon Festival committee. I am going to be asking them about that. I also have a question about Miss Winterville. There's like a pageant person for the Watermelon Festival who does not live in Winterville.
There's no pageant, I don't think,
There,
right?
there's not a pageant, let me take that word out.
Right.
There is a Miss Winterville. Am I correct? There is a Miss Winterville,
No. There's a Miss Watermelon,
Miss Watermelon.
but she comes from somewhere else,
Okay,
right?
okay. There's a Miss Watermelon or an entity that has a little sash.
Yeah.
And she speaks and everything like that. My position is that if we're having a Miss Watermelon in Winterville, then residents of Winterville who are young ladies who would like to know about that should be given that opportunity. To have a Miss Watermelon that is not from I know she might go
Yeah,
all
she's
over.
not from Winterville.
And she's not from Winterville. Miss Watermelon, if one did not ask that or know that, those who are at the parade and such would assume that she is from Winterville. So I am just saying, on behalf of young ladies in Winterville, to be given that opportunity to see what it is all about. And I will be talking with the Watermelon Festival Committee to see how we can move in a different direction moving forward in terms of that. So that is just my discussion.
Thank you.
Okay.
We have a motion on the floor to fund the Winterville Watermelon Festival for $40,000. If you could vote by raising your right hand, please. Motion carried. Thank you.
So, Mayor, that's the end of the non-town, isn't it?
Yep,
There are two applications.
two applications left. That's the
I would ask that council vote on them one way or the other.
one way or the other, right? That's the Pitt County Girls Softball and rebuild it.
Yes.
And rebuild it together. So those are the two things that are left. And boys and girls, I'm sorry, Pitt County Girls Softball has asked for additional, look like 10 grand from last year. They went from,
Well, this is what we funded.
yeah, but still,
Yeah.
what
Could
they're
we-
seeking.
They requested
They
more,
requested
but
more,
we funded.
right. They requested more this year.
Could we open the floor for a motion on those two? And if no motion's made, that we with her?
All right. The floor is open. The floor is always open.
I'm sorry, you said if there's no motion made, then what? Now I didn't hear that.
We need a motion either way, but I'm just saying the floor is always open for a motion.
We don't have to have a motion either way, though.
Yes, we do. We need I think we need a motion whether we're gonna fund them or not fund them.
Well, if you choose not to vote on it, then
You don't have to.
our response back to them would be that council chose not to take action on their application, but they did submit an application.
Okay.
So that's the way y'all want to go about it?
Well, one of the things I did hear you say, and it's in our booklet, that we're building together. We do have, 3 homes that they are looking at doing some work to here in our town?
I think the application said they are on the list. It did not indicate anything had been done.
Yes, so,
They are on the list.
3, but then it said 15.
Right, but that's including, the way that I read it, volunteer, it said
Right.
volunteers as well. But I wanted to, just kind of be clear, so we already have a $20,000 set aside for, okay, you're shaking your head, yes,
Yes.
for Winterville.
Yes.
So I'd like to make a motion that,
Hold before you make.
Oh, okay.
Let's clarify.
okay, because I'm getting,
How much money is in that fund now?
I don't know, but in the budget, there's a 20,000 this year for the
Yeah.
earth repair.
20 this
There was
year,
the fund.
and we have 40 already reserved in that fund for the repair of homes.
We'll need to get you a specific amount, but there is more money than
It's more
the
than 20.
Yes.
And it's because they haven't done
Right, it's the
anything.
money rolls over, has
Yeah.
been rolling over.
But,
They haven't done anything.
but in their defense, we have not asked them to do
Right.
anything.
But my phone
Oh,
rings off the
wait a
hook.
minute, wait.
My phone rings off the hook with requests for repairs.
I have I'm sorry, so, that just sounds counterintuitive, because if we haven't asked them to do anything, but the phone rings off the hook, but they say they have folks that are on the list, why are we not asking them to do anything?
Two different programs.
Yeah.
Ms. Robertson, Councilwoman Robertson, if they're
I've been
asking,
doing it wrong.
if they're calling you regarding our urgent repair
Right.
program,
Mm-hmm,
we take applications.
mm-hmm.
We only have a very small handful of applications. And to date, not everybody on that list meets the criteria. You must own your home, you must be 62 years of age or older, and you must be current in your town of Winterville and county taxes. So when I say we haven't asked Rebuilding to do it, this is on our urgent repair program that has been inactive since COVID. We have, you all have approved the agreement that we renewed with them, made some changes, and we have met with them. They are ready to go. We are currently updating the information on the applicants we currently do have to make sure, much like buying your home, that everything's up to date as of the time we submit it to. Jessica's gonna go get the number of what's in the reserve, thank you. But in other words, we're ready to go. They're sitting on ready as soon as we send them applicants. What their program is they can obviously do bigger repairs, and taxes, for instance, and age requirements are not part of their eligibility. When I say their, I mean Rebuilding Together as the entity. So the money that has been appropriated by the town to them, separate and apart from our urgent repair, they use to fund their program. Does that make sense?
And also to, keep in mind that they just now getting back to having an executive director.
Yes, they have been
Because they have
through their
been, right, they have
challenges.
been through some challenges of not having an executive director. So now they're finally getting back to having an executive director, correct?
They're back, but their board members came and met with us. They were prepared to move forward with their board members, minus an executive director, but it is helpful that they have one that was with them previously. But to say that, I don't want to put the sole onus and responsibility on Rebuilding Together in terms of our urgent repair program, because we have a responsibility as well for the time that went by where we weren't repairing homes.
Okay, can you were saying something about updating they should update their application.
Yes.
Are we speaking of urgent repair, or are we speaking of Rebuilding Together?
Any applications I refer to are for our urgent repair program carried out and basically conducted by Rebuilding Together. We have 3 eligibility criteria that you have to meet with the town of Winterville specifically before we will forward an application to Rebuilding Together. Once they get the application, they go through their eligibility requirements for income, et cetera, to make sure that in addition to our criteria, they meet the eligibility they do the eligibility verification for the town to be able to receive services through the urgent repair program. Does that make sense? I know it's very complicated.
Yes, because we're saying that the money is from our taxpayer for the urgent repair. And the Rebuilding Together, they are all the Pitt County, they are the one who going to determine whether or not, if they're going to accept the application or not, if it's.
We do our initial determination, which makes you eligible on our 3 basis for our urgent repair.
We make
program.
that here.
We're not qualified, we don't have anybody on staff that can do the income verification
they help us with that. They are certainly not gonna kick anybody out of, consideration unilaterally. For their program,
For that
we don't
program?
have anything to
Okay.
do with
Their program.
their program, if that,
But the money, the 20,000 for the couple of years that we have, that is allotted directly to Winterville citizens.
correct.
And none of that has been used for
Right.
several years.
And that money is still there and it goes to rebuild.
That's right.
I'm sorry.
Well, once we have applicant, I didn't mean to cut you off.
No, no,
Once
no.
the applicants are identified and the need is determined, then that amount of this pot of money goes towards those repairs.
So this is in excess, the 10,000 that they're asking for.
That is for their program, not related to our
Right.
urgent repair program.
The 10,000 is theirs, and whatever the money we
They
have
make an
is for
application
Winterville
for
only.
their Pitt County program, which includes Winterville, but is not a part of the Winterville Urgent Repair Program.
Just like Boys and Girls Club has made an application. Because they, Boys and Girls Club on north of the river, Boys and Girls Club,
Right.
Aiden, that's what that's what they have done, just made an application
Okay.
for 10,000.
But there is monies already held aside from rebuilding. Am I?
Yes.
Money set aside to operate
That-
our
that
urgent
we
repair
have
program.
now.
Yes.
Okay.
And every year, we've been trying to put, whether we repaired any homes or not, $20,000 in the budget, which is then put in a fund, so that that money would be there upon, resuming the program, which we have. And the max was increased, if you may recall, from $5,400 per case, Winterville program, to $6,000.
Did
We,
we freeze it last year? Did we not do it last year?
We have not increased it.
I mean, the 20,000, set aside the 20,000.
I think there was only 1 year, I don't think it was last year, I think it was year before last, that because there was already money in there, we didn't
Okay.
allocate it.
Right.
But, it is included in the draft budget.
Yes, sir.
so it's not on the list for this year. Urgent repair is not on the non-town agency for
That's
this
not-
year.
That's a town program,
That's a town program, so we'll talk about that when.
it's part of the draft, it's part of the proposed budget,
Part of the budget.
Okay.
Part of the budget.
the money.
Okay,
It's in a line item.
separate line item, okay, okay.
I saw
okay.
that in the budget.
Okay.
I saw the 20,000 in the budget
And
for
Jessica's,
urgent repair.
Jessica's gone to look for how much is in the town of Winterville urgent repair fund.
Can we
But I
do
compared
five
it
while
to
we
that
doing it?
program. I
Yes,
compared it to the program.
we're gonna take a 5-minute recess, please.
Okay.
And then, also too, y'all go ahead, I'm just talking. A lot of these programs, just like the Rebuild It Together and Pitt County, Planning Department's got a, urgent repair program.
You know I know about it because I work with you, Ms. House.
Okay.
I'll call the meeting back to order. From the break, yeah, sorry.
Okay.
All right. So now we in discussion with, I don't forgot what we're in discussion.
You're waiting for a motion?
A motion, right. Wait for a
Okay.
motion.
You ready for a motion?
Anybody want to make one?
Yes, I'd like to make one. On rebuilding together, I'd like to make a motion for the 10,000.
Okay. Have a motion by Councilman Roy to fund Rebuild It Together for 10,000. Is there a second?
Can I clear this up? Well, I'll wait till you second. Let it fall.
Okay. All right. Again, is there a second? Okay. Motion fails for lack of a second.
Can I say something?
Now you can pull it back over.
And the reason why I suggest to go ahead on and ask for the town to give them 10,000, they are going to administrate our urgent repair. They are the one who's going to manage it. They are the ones going to, I mean, they're going to do it from A to Z. Used to, we was part of it. I even worked back in the day before the pandemic. I worked with the urgent repair as a volunteer. But they don't have that luxury no more. They have to go out and get their own now. So that means that Rebuilding Together is going to be managing it. Rebuilding Together is going to be the one that making sure that everything is done correctly. So that's the reason why I voted that way where I suggest to give Rebuilding Together the 10,000 because of the urgent repair that we of need here in our town of Winterville.
Okay, thank you. What is the pleasure of the board on Rebuild It Together and the Pitt County Girls Softball League Incorporated?
I have a question. I thought that we were waiting on a report, on what was in the balance or what was
Yes.
in for rebuild.
Well, if I could just, this is not the balance for Rebuilding Together, what Jessica's gonna give you. This is the balance of what's in our urgent repair fund from Town of Winterville. The request you all just, it failed for lack of a
Right, of course.
second, is their program.
Did we have any funds in the rebuilding? Did we have any funds from the rebuilding
Urgent
together?
repair.
No.
Urgent repair.
Did we have any funds from Rebuilding Together of Pitt County from previous years?
Yes, you have funded them in previous years, and as a matter of fact, in 24-25, they were funded $10,000.
Gotcha.
10,000.
Thank you.
Yes.
So, thank you. And we were just waiting for the urgent repair balance to
Yes.
see what we have to move forward.
Yes, ma'am.
It was $89,305.
Thank you, ma'am.
89.
That's how many years we
And
have.
that does not include this year's 20,000 that's
Right.
budgeted, so if this budget is approved with the 20,000, there will be 109,
Right.
305.
So if I could just, that is not just years where we did not operate the program. That is what was left out of previous programs where money was not completely expended.
What is the
Just a-
balance again, please?
$89,305.
Plus, I'm sorry, what did you say, Councilwoman Smith?
There, in the budget for this year,
Slide.
there's $20,000 allotted. So if that passes, the balance would be 109,305 in the
And-
urgent repair fund.
And so in that urgent repair funding of the 100+ K, are we not able to pay them for administrative fees out of that budget?
They've not asked for administrative fees.
Well, I guess maybe the 10,000 out of that budget, like out of that line item instead of an extra 10,000?
If the council so chose.
Then, if you would take it out of your urgent repair, that means that you will decrease the amount of help that you can provide to a citizen, a senior citizen that needs some help, because you'll be taking money away from that fund.
And just as a point of clarification, but it's an approximation, I may have
Up to 6.
5 applications that look like they will pass the 3 initial levels of eligibility to put forward to rebuilding together. Don and I are clarifying those, though, making sure that the latest information is up to date.
And those are 5 applications at $6,000 apiece.
It, up to, yes, ma'am.
Up to.
I think, Dr. Harrell was saying to deduct the 10,000 because Mayor Pro Tem Moore, you said that rebuilding together was assisting, and so that they would probably refrain from assisting if they didn't get it. So that's why she was saying, perhaps give them that so that they can assist.
Right.
And if I
Yes.
could clarify that, they have never said that. They've never said they wouldn't assist with our program. But they also do not charge us for operating our program, so. And when Mr. Boyd, you volunteered, they were managing the program. They have
Yes.
always managed our program. We are not currently, and since we started the urgent repair program, nor are we structured on staff to operate such a program. So we lean on those that operate a program of the like.
Councilwoman Smith.
In addition to Town Manager Parker's clarification that they've never stated they would not assist us, if I recollect, when Mideast came and presented, they also have a component. We're a member of Mideast, so again, I see a duplication of services. We've been given this $10,000 and just doing it every year, but we may also be able to get that service through Mideast, for which we have for a fraction of the cost and we're already a member of, and we do have 89,305 currently and potentially 109,305. So I guess I beg the question as to why the $10,000.
I'd like to make a motion that we do not fund the Rebuilding Together Pitt County at $10,000.
Okay, have a motion on the floor and a second. Motion made by Councilwoman Dr. Brandy Harrell, second by Councilwoman Robinson, not to fund Rebuild It Together for $10,000. Any discussion?
I do have a discussion.
Yes.
I would like for staff or the town manager to look into what Councilwoman Smith has discussed about the duplication and, seeking out the assistance from Mideast, so nothing will fall through the cracks. And I also would like to say, if possible, if we can look at that line item of the potential 100 plus K that's going to go to our fund, the Winterville fund for repairs, to maybe work with them or give them a portion out of that line item for their administrative fee or their administrative time, even though they may not have asked.
So if I could clarify, just because I think I'm confused. We're talking to Mideast about something that contractually at no cost Rebuilding is already doing.
No, I was just saying that when he came and spoke, he spoke about a component of the program, and we're a member of Mideast,
Correct.
that assisted. There was a component with home repairs, and I'm paraphrasing from memory.
Right.
And so we're already paying to be a member of that. If that's a service that's provided, we probably should explore that rather than just automatically funding a $10,000.
Again, the $10,000, nothing related to
No.
our program.
No, correct.
I guess I am happy to talk to Mideast. I just want to know what I'm talking to them about. Because Rebuilding, we already have an agreement with them to operate our program, which is currently at no cost. Does that make sense?
All right.
What, Mideast will charge you a fee to administer the program.
Right.
We paid our membership, yes, but they would charge us even more to administer the program. Just like if I think during the first grants that Winterville had, way back before y'all were born, but we had an agency, we had another group to come in. I think a group from Wilmington came in and administered that grant. Well, see, that group got paid, And Mideast would do the same thing.
See,
So you'd be talking about adding more money
Of course.
coming out of the program. Not that, I love Mideast, I want to stay, I see the advantage of it to the program, but I do want us to be aware that they would charge you more than your, it wouldn't be like your membership cost. Your membership cost, I think it's about $1,000.
Actually, it's over 3,000.
That would not be, you'd have to pay above that for them to administer.
Have we explored how much it would cost to have them do it compared to what we're giving to
Rebuild.
rebuild?
No, because we weren't giving to rebuild.
We're just giving,
They were applying to ask for assistance in running their program.
Right.
It's not related at this
service they
time.
provide.
We have a separate contract on our
And
urgent repair program.
I know we got this vote on the floor, but I think what confusion is, just take away urgent repair. Just take away the word urgent repair for right now.
For the town's
For
program.
the town program. All this is here is that Rebuild It has come to us as an entity asking for $10,000.
Correct.
Okay, that's what I was gonna ask you.
Right, just take away anything
Yes,
about
yes.
urgent repair
The
and
town-
you're pertaining to the town.
Right,
This is just them coming here saying, just like all the other
That's right.
on the list, just asking for $10,000.
That's right.
And I think that's where we keep getting bogged down at, but now,
and please be clear, I'm happy to talk to
Right.
Mideast. I have no problems about that.
Right.
I just don't know that it really assists in what we're talking about this second.
And I call for a vote on.
yeah, call for
Wait.
the vote, call for the question.
the question.
All right, all in favor?
I got a question.
Well, you're gonna have to hold on. I don't mean no disrespect, but you have to hold on because the question has been already called.
Okay.
So, all right, could you please vote by raising your right hand? 1, 2, 3, 4. Opposed? 4-1, Mr. Moy opposed. Okay. Now, Mr. Moy, I can go back to you because the
Well,
question already called.
okay, I was going to ask let's go back and see the purpose of why Rebuilding Together was requesting this 10,000 before we did the vote. That was my question, and I think that it should have been in with the application.
It is.
That's the reason why I asked for the question. But,
But the question, the clarity, the question had already been called for the vote.
I'm good with
All
that.
right, but I'm just sharing with you, it had already been called, so. Now, we're gonna move on to the Pitt County, girls
Okay,
softball.
I think we should begin to address that.
It take me just a minute.
I make the motion that we do not fund the Pitt County Girls Softball League.
Okay, got a motion on the floor, by Councilwoman Robinson. To not fund the Pitt County girls softball.
Second.
We got a second by Councilwoman Smith. Any discussion on that? If none, I call for the vote. All in favor, vote by raising their right hand. 4. All opposed? 4-1. Motion carried. Mr. Moy voted no. Okay.
Did you find out?
Yes, sir, and I just want to make sure I'm answering your question, Mayor Pro Tem Moy. You wanted to know what they were applying for?
Yes, they requested the 10,000, is that correct?
Yes,
And usually when they request on the application, what they're gonna use the funds for?
funds will be used to help further rebuilding together Pitt County's vision of safe homes and communities for everyone. We provide critical home repairs for low-income homeowners in Pitt County.
All right. The next, budget session, number 2, is tomorrow night, Wednesday, May the 21st, at 6 PM, here at the Town Hall Assembly Room. Anybody have any questions? If not, we're gonna recess this meeting to tomorrow night.
Okay.
Maybe you can adjourn because it's properly published.
Okay, all right. I'd like to adjourn this meeting, but before I adjourn, Councilwoman Smith will be excused, absent, for this, for the meeting tomorrow night, okay? Can I get a motion to adjourn?
Make a motion to adjourn.
Second.
Okay. I got a motion by, Dr. Brandy Harrell, and a second by Councilwoman Hawkins. To adjourn, all in favor, vote by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, stay. Till tomorrow.
Opposed, stay.
Chantel. All right. Excuse me.